Thank you. I'd like to call the Watertown Police Commission meeting December 9th, 2020 to order. And this is a virtual meeting, will be taped and also recorded. First matter on our agenda is a roll call of members. Please respond, members, as we go around. Richard Antonetti here.
David Janetti here.
Robert McCarthy here.
Jamie Hobart Lambeau here.
Tammy Keeman here.
Hearing none other, I am going to place alternate Tammy Freeman as a regular member tonight for Commissioner Rossi. Okay, we'll move on. The agenda is public participation. I believe Alan Mickle, are you there? Turn on Alan Mickle, please.
Alan is now self-muted, Mr. Commissioner, and Catherine Cameron has her hand up and is muted.
Catherine Cameron, would
Can
you
you
like?
hear me now?
Alan has the floor right now.
Who's speaking?
Thank you very much. Al Mickle here,
Okay,
95 Woodbine Avenue.
thank you, Alan.
I have just one request.
You have a request, Alan?
I'm getting a lot of feedback here.
You're right.
Would you put the police activity report in the minutes? That's my request.
We will do that. I thought that they were posted. They should be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Catherine Camara, do you want to speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Catherine Camera, 31 Cottage Place in Oakville. I want to talk about the new, the hiring of the chief of police. At the town council meeting on Monday night, Manager Ramo said that Connecticut Police Chiefs Association is going to be selecting the candidates that Town Manager Ramo is going to choose from to hire. He seems to think that that's okay, and I absolutely disagree, and so do many other people in town. He cites the charter because it's his job under the charter to hire the police chief. However, we have an extremely unique situation. Well, actually, it's not extremely unique because we have the same situation with Robert Scannell, wherein they have an immediate family member on the police force, which means they're actually supervising an immediate family member. The state of Connecticut ethics would never allow that, but somehow our town ethics just don't really seem to match up. So he also seems to think it's okay that all the people, the candidates are only coming from within the department. Now, when we hired Deputy Chief Berniger, he came from Naugatuck, and he's a wonderful addition to the police department. I think looking inside and outside is the answer to find the best candidate. You cannot assume, I'm sure, and I don't doubt that we have highly qualified candidates within our department, but that doesn't ensure that there's not somebody else better. So I'm disturbed by that. I'm disturbed by the fact that he's not handing this to while he cites the charter does not say he can't give the job to the assistant town manager, whom, if he was to become ill, something happens, would be acting as the town manager. So that's not impossible. And what I really want to point out is that our town pays $15,000 a year approximately now to have a membership with Connecticut Council of Municipalities. I'll call it CCM. Any person on any commission, any employee can attend their seminars. It's basically free. There's the yearly conference, I think, costs $120 extra. But for the most part, this town is paying $15,000. And any one of you or anyone on any other commission can further your knowledge about running a town, being on a commission, and what's right and what's wrong and what's best for the town. And it wouldn't cost you anything. So I'm asking on December 15th, next week, they have a webinar called Ethics, Conflicts of Interest, and Accountability. And I would ask that as many of you as possible attend that. And even if you have before, I would attend it again. And what I'd really like to know, and I'm asking other people, I asked the council if somebody would attend, I'd like someone to ask the question of the presenter, tell them what's going on with this hire, that our town manager is directly basically overseeing his son. He would be hiring his son's boss. He can't even work on the budget for the police department or collective bargaining because that's a conflict. That I was told Robert Scannell was not able to do that because his wife was a detective. So I'm assuming it carries over to town manager Ramo. But I'm going to tell you that I'm raising this with other people in town. It's going to be in the newspaper. It's not a good idea. And if you don't know this, I'll tell you one other story, and I will send the newspaper article. Watertown was written up in the Hartford Courant probably about 6 years ago because of our having two father-son combinations on our force. And it was because in East Hartford, chief of police, his son who was on the force, I believe hit a bicyclist. I don't remember if it was a fatality or not. The officer had been intoxicated and his father was covering things up. Now, I'm not here to judge what he did, what was right or wrong, but it's a very sticky situation. And Watertown was brought up in that article, and we were the only town with having a double combination, deputy chief and chief with sons on the force. I am not talking about people's jobs. I'm not talking about how well they do their job, but ethics has to do with the appearance, even the appearance of an impropriety is a problem amongst your public. There's a lot of people that don't think that our police department is, I would say, they have some problems with some people that they think are buddies and take care of each other. And I'm not going to say anybody, I'm not going to point that out, and I'm not going to say we're unique to that. What I'm going to say is, shouldn't we do our very best to avoid that look? It's just a matter of making the appearance of being on the up and up, the transparency. And I honestly don't think that allowing this hire to be made by Mark Ramo is doing our department any favors. So take what you will from my statement. I appreciate you listening to me, and I really would hope that someone will attend that webinar next week. It wouldn't cost you anything, and I'm sure that the town manager's office would figure out how to get you signed up. Thank you.
Thank you for that information. Do you know what time that would be put up, Catherine?
Yes, that webinar is from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock on December 15th. So, and it's a webinar, so you don't have to go to the facility.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think your comments are well taken. I am sure some of the information that you put out about previous situations are important. And I am sure that the current manager is aware of some of those problems and potential conflicts. And I am sure that he would make an effort to prevent any conflict of interest. And if it can be avoided, if it was done in the past, I am sure he would work that direction. But we are going to be very alert to what you have mentioned and keep that in mind. So thank you again. Is there anyone else that would like to comment? Is there anyone else that would like to comment? Is there anyone else? Hearing none other, we can move on to the next matter on the agenda. approval of the November 17th regular meeting. Do I have a motion? Please state your name.
David Janetti, so moved.
Motion has been made. Do I have a second? Please state your name.
Second, Jamie Hobart Lambo.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Correspondence. I got a late correspondence from the public director, and it was dealing with a matter of center line rumble of strips. There were certain roads in our town that this would be applied, and they would have to meet certain criteria. I believe it was at least 35 miles an hour, and it would have to have a limited amount of traffic. It actually would have to have a amount of traffic, I believe somewhere around 2,000 cars. The only roads that qualified was Echo Lake Road in parts that would qualify, and that rumble strip has been installed, and Guernsey Town Road, part of it. Deputy Chief, are there any other things that I know you got the same memo, I'm sure, from Public Works Director Kavanaugh?
Yes, I read that same memo, Commissioner, and I don't believe either that there's any other roads in town that would meet those criteria.
In talking with him, a road that I did feel should qualify, but it does not have the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, was from Waterbury all the way down through Middlefield Road, the strip of road going down the hill of Bunker Hill all the way up to the Middlebury Road. I know there's been, they paved the road there, 35 miles an hour, I think would be appropriate speed. And I think a rumble strip would be great in the middle of that road because it is kind of windy. And according to Mr. Kavanaugh, he said he would agree too, but it would be up to us as the town to raise the speed limit. Currently, in some spots, it's only 30 miles an hour. Maybe we could look into that. What do you think, Deputy Chief?
Yeah, that should be done in the form of a motion to request the state office of, oh, I forget the name of the office now, but it's through the Department of Transportation to raise or adjust a speed limit on a town road. They have to approve those requests. At the commission's order, I could certainly put in that request on behalf of the commission. These requests, I would just caution you, are done without much controversy when you're raising a speed limit. So it should certainly be thought out.
Yes, I would like maybe all commissioners drive that road, get an idea of what they think on that particular area. Again, it's from Waterbury down Bunker Hill all the way up to Middlebury Road. You cross 63 and continue on, and see what you think if a 35-mile-an-hour limit would be appropriate. Or I can sort of, you will see that that road does move, I think, at 35, and most people are doing that speed. So whether setting it at that speed and then putting that strip in the middle, at least on the curves, it would give the drivers a little more awareness of where they are in position on the road. I noticed there have been a lot of new head-on collisions which have produced fatalities. And I think the intent of these rumble strip in the center and also on the side of the road help actually guide a driver as to where they are positioning, especially in rain or inclement weather. So if you get an opportunity, it's something we can bring up at our next meeting, but maybe you'll have an opportunity to drive that road and see what you think. Okay, any other comments? People have any comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, David Genetti, I would just ask that perhaps we put that on our agenda to allow residents of that stretch of road to have some input at our next meeting.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, that'll be put on our agenda for our next meeting in January. New business. Under this new business, we have several issues that the deputy chief, I think, has a great deal of knowledge and will like to make some presentation. One is on the update of the police department budget. Maybe you can take off on this, Deputy Chief.
Absolutely. Good evening, members of the Police Commission. Happy to be here virtually with you this evening. My department has been working very hard on the fiscal year 2021-22 budget, which is due into the finance director by December 28th. We have our first iteration out at this time, which is definitely a rough draft as the budget does evolve over the month of December as we get quotes in for various maintenance agreements on different appliances and equipment that we have here at the department, as well as requests from department heads for equipment and or training programs for their division. This budget is going to look as if it has a dramatic increase from the budget that was requested last year. The reason for that is keep in mind that our personnel make up about 78 to 79% of our total budget just in salaries, and the lion's share of that comes from our police union. The police union has been in negotiations with the town of Watertown for their collective bargaining agreement renewal for 2.5 years. So the last several budgets did not include any budgeted raises. So this next fiscal year is going to have actually 4 raises built in, the one from 2018, the one from 2019, the one from 2020, and now the one for July 1st of 2021. Collectively, that adds up to a 9.5% increase in salary compounded over each of those years. So that will all be reflected in the actual budget request. We should see this budget close to a somewhere between a 9 and a 10% increase over last year's request. And again, that is primarily due to contractual raises in a contract that has been under negotiation for several years now. As you probably know, the police department's overall budget is split into 5 sub-budgets. One of them is administrative services. That budget will most likely see a decrease over last year. The reason for that is because we budgeted a significant upgrade to our IT network within that administrative services budget that's currently underway now. Obviously, that's a one-time expense that will be coming out of next year's budget. So we'll see a decrease in that budget. The next budget is the patrol and detective budget. This is where we're going to see the dramatic increase because it covers all the salaries for members of the police union. That was at about 3.8 million in the current fiscal year, and our first draft is coming in around 4 million, and that is without yet getting the numbers from Ford for the next fiscal year's leasing package. So there will certainly be money added to that budget.
There was a little problem with sound. What was the increase? 4 point what?
We're currently at 4.1 million, but again, this is an incomplete budget. We are still waiting for numbers from Ford Motor Company for the leasing package to purchase 3 new vehicles in the next fiscal year.
Three new vehicles?
Correct. Our overtime account, which I know everyone is usually very interested in what our expenses are in overtime, I am requesting it be increased by $30,000 from our request last year. The reason for that increase is when you increase salaries, the overtime account needs to be increased in the same percentage amount. Because when we do hire officers on overtime, they're getting paid a time and a half of their salary. So if we're doing a 9.5% increase in their salaries in this budget, time to be going up 9.5% as well. We are also negotiating with the police union right now for off-duty care and handling of a police canine. Labor laws require that we compensate a canine handler for off-duty care and handling time. Involve time back and feed them, exercise them. I'm anticipating a roughly $9,000 to $10,000 expense, which accounts for about 25 minutes of overtime per day for the canine handler. So our overtime budget, my request to the town is going to come in at $320,000. There are various other items that we're requesting, and I don't want to take up too much of your time going line by line. But the police accountability bill has presented a certain amount of uncertainty for this budget that I do want to be prepared for. Very slowly, the state is providing guidance on different aspects of the police accountability bill, but I have included funding in here for some aspects of the bill that I know will be mandated within this coming fiscal year, and that is drug tests, which include anabolic steroid testing for all officers in their recertification year, as well as mental health examinations for 20% of sworn members each year by a board certified psychiatrist or psychologist. So these are costs that have been legislated and passed down to the local communities to have to pay. The next sub-budget here is what we call our maintenance and support budget. This budget carries many of our maintenance agreements and equipment within the department. It has a modest increase from about $168,000 in the previous budget to $188,000 in the upcoming budget. And that money is primarily due to increased costs and maintenance agreements. We're looking to purchase a new defibrillator, and we have increased the number of radar units we have. So what the cost to maintain additional radar units is also included in that increase. The next sub-budget is titled the Traffic Division. The Traffic Division budget is very small. It was $5,000 this past year. It includes mainly two things: that the electricity to pay for all of our traffic signals in town, even though the state of Connecticut owns every traffic signal in town with the exception of the traffic signal on French Street outside the high school driveway. The town of Watertown must pay the electrical bills for all those traffic lights. So that's the lion's share of the money that's in this account. We do also have I put a small amount of money into that request just to maintain the light in front of the high school. Since we do own that one, it should be serviced annually. Have the control box cleaned out, make sure we don't get any mice in there, and replace the filters. I'm looking to purchase some more traffic cones out of that budget as well. Animal control is our next budget. It has virtually remained unchanged from the previous year, so I really have nothing to report with the animal control budget. Lastly is our communications budget. Communications will see a small increase, and that's primarily based on an increase in overtime. We're having significant difficulties filling our part-time dispatch positions. We've had 2 vacancies now for nearly an entire year, and we've been through, I believe, 4 candidates that have started our training program in dispatch, been through several weeks of training, and have either backed out by themselves saying that they just don't feel they're fit for the job, or we've had to let them go because they haven't been responding to training. It's a very difficult position to fill, and I am in talks with the town manager and the finance director right now about how we're going to fill these positions in the future. They're a difficult position because it is part-time hours without benefits and with a mandatory schedule that includes nights, holidays, and weekends. And quite frankly, there's not much of our society who says that's a really good deal, sign me up. So we're going to have to rethink about dispatch. Other than that, the salaries for all of our dispatchers and our administrative staff, which includes our records clerks and executive assistant, their contract expires on June 30th. So the salary budget numbers that are going to be represented in this budget will not reflect any raises as they have not yet been negotiated. So I certainly will be happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Any questions from members of the commission? Any questions? What was the bottom line you gave on the total amount for the budget? Was it 300?
If I add all 5 of those budgets together, give me one moment. We're currently at about $5,584,000. That will be going up. As I said, I'm still missing several quotes for maintenance agreements, new pieces of equipment that we're obtaining through this IT upgrade that we're currently in, as well as the vehicle leasing information or quote from Ford. So this will likely increase possibly by a couple $100,000, but don't quote me on that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
David Genetti, Deputy Chief, what was the figure last year for last year's budget?
Last year's budget. Hold on one moment, Commissioner. As the appropriation book breaks it all down into these smaller budgets, let me just add them together real quick. Last year was $5,364,000.
And did you plan on increasing your staffing levels in this coming year's budget? So you're
We did
saying
not.
that. Okay.
40 sworn, yes.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions? Deputy Chief, I heard that you did receive a gift of $15,000 recently for equipment. Is that correct?
1,500, Chairman.
Okay.
And I'll present that in my chief's report.
Mhm. Okay, is there any other questions on the budget? I don't hear any. Okay, let's go on to the next one. B, update on the construction of the new police department.
Through the
Yep.
chair.
Yes,
So as I don't have any particular update on the actual police building project, the good news from the town council meeting on Monday is the town manager requested an appropriation from the general fund for the same architectural firm who did the space needs study and site evaluation for the police building to perform that very same work for a proposed community center that the town council will possibly be looking to marry those two projects together on the same parcel at 0 Nova Scotia Hill Road. So over the next few weeks, the architect will be working with the town, determine the proper space needs and site needs for what Watertown wants to be a community/senior center. And once the town council approves the space needs and site evaluation for that project and authorizes a site for both buildings, the architect can then move forward with a schematic design and a professional cost estimate for the project in its entirety. And it's at that point where the town council would have to send the project to referendum for voter approval. So that's the point that we're at right now. Without the town council giving the architect the green light on a particular site, the police building project is going to be stalled out until that point.
right now the site appears to be the site at Nova Scotia Road. Is that correct?
That's the site right now that is being considered. It is the only currently town-owned property that is suitable to construct a building this size on. As much as we love 195 French Street, this site has many factors that would need to be mitigated that become cost prohibitive. And that include wetlands, ledge, and a sewer line that bisects the property that would have to be relocated.
I think that's important to note why the particular site, and that is the site that is being considered even, or the other part of the project, that's a piece of property owned by the town. So therefore, there's no expense in purchasing property. Is that correct?
That's correct. If the town deems that they don't want a police building on that property, we would then have to move to a request for proposals and go through a property acquisition process.
Right. Okay, thank you. Any
You're welcome.
questions? Any questions? Well, we can move on to the next item. Josh, is a police commission meeting. I guess that's for the whole commission. These are dates that are being set up. You should have that, our calendar for 2021. And please note that on July, we will not have a meeting. That is to give everybody an opportunity to go about, I hope, a very pleasant summer and at least not have any meeting on the agenda. So I do need a motion to approve these dates. You did receive that in your packet.
Mr. Chairman, this is David Genetti. I'd like to make a motion to accept the date as documented in our packet and along with accepting that we will not meet in July for the 2021 meeting schedule.
Do I have a second on that, please?
Second,
Who is that?
Jamie Hobart Lambo.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried unanimously. Under old business, I'd like to give you a little report on where we are legally with my Hoppity LLC. At this time, the attorneys for all the parties that are involved, including us and the deputy chief and my Hoopity, have not really developed a plan of action that we can all work on and agree. So we are going to have to push this into the new year. And I did request from the attorneys all involved that we have to have, I think, by the new year in January, a plan to resolve the issue. And I am hopeful that that will be available in January. So that's all I really have to report at this time. Anybody have any questions on that? I can tell you all three attorneys have been working hard and have been trying to resolve this, and hopefully in January we'll have that. The next thing, chairman's report, road safety audit, and the final report, which was prepared by Malone and McBroom, is pending action from the Public Works Department, getting a public information session. Now, there was supposed to be one back in November 9th. That was postponed. I have been urging Public Works Director Kavanaugh to try to get this meeting done and over with. Because once the report is finalized, then the state can move on and we can push the state to get action on Main Street. One thing that I am not happy with is the fact that we do not have the beacons installed on Main Street. And I've been informed, and I hope I was misinformed, that they will not be available until next year. I know there is money available, both money that came in from the state, money that we have had in our past budget on the town. And I think those are critical to get those completed immediately, if not sooner. But it doesn't seem we're getting any movement on them. I would urge, if you have a chance, all commissioners to give a call to the Public Works and ask them when they think the beacons will be installed. And as far as any other matters, I do have a concern, Deputy Chief, with the number of auto break-ins that have been taking place throughout the town. And I've been thinking that maybe a special unit could be formed to try to reduce the number of auto break-ins and maybe even thefts that take place at this time of year. I think with material gifts being dropped off at doorsteps and whatnot, there seems to be a lot of activity. And I feel we're getting a spillover from Waterbury. If you have probably noticed in front page story, as far as the dilemma that Waterbury is having within its own department and trying to keep control on the gangs that have been growing in that area. And I feel there may be spillover even as far as auto break-ins and various thefts that have been taking place in our town from those gangs in Waterbury. They're coming into our town. So maybe a little thought on that issue, comment, Deputy Chief Berniger.
Yeah, there's absolutely a true statement that we have been plagued lately with both auto thefts and thefts from motor vehicles. Our car dealerships were hit this past weekend again with the thefts of tires and rims. These outfits usually come in from out of town and may not even be local to the Waterbury area. They travel the region to these dealerships and make off with the tires and rims in really amazingly quick time. Our Detective Bureau is following up on that now. As far as auto thefts and thefts from motor vehicles, the vast majority of these incidents are crimes of opportunity. We have put out public relations campaigns over and over, imploring our residents and visitors to please lock their vehicles when they are left unattended. Many of these auto thefts are happening when residents are warming their cars up in the morning, and they go out and start their car, let it warm up with the car running and the doors unlocked. Especially in the winter time, it's pretty easy to spot a car warming up, and they make off with it pretty quickly. Other circumstances involve cars that are at gas stations where people are fueling or running into the convenience store to grab an item. They leave the keys in the car, sometimes even running while they run inside and come back out to find the vehicle gone or the pocketbook taken off the seat, etc. It's rare that a car that is locked and properly secured gets the window smashed and taken unless something of value is left out in the open in the vehicle. It wasn't that long ago, we again put out on social media asking people to be cognizant of locking their cars, not leaving the cars running and unattended in front of their homes or at convenience stores. Many of these car thefts remain committed by juveniles, and there's very little recourse within the state right now. There's a lot of talk at the state level about what to do about this problem, but juveniles are any person under the age of 18, and it's usually the 16 and 17-year-olds right now that are coming out and committing these thefts, and no one stops for us anymore. Even if we come upon a stolen vehicle and try to stop it, they immediately engage us in pursuit. And there's, generally speaking, a no pursuit policy in the state of Connecticut. Motor vehicle theft is simply a property crime. It is not a violent felony. We would not pursue a stolen vehicle just to pursue it. It's simply too dangerous to the public. So the best way to combat this at this point in time is through continuously educating our public and not providing an opportunity for the criminals to act.
How is the Crime Stoppers doing? Is that still active in the force?
It is, and we do take occasional tips through Crime Stoppers. It is a valuable program that we continue to employ, and we broadcast the anonymous tip number out there quite often.
Anything happened with the stolen Christmas trees from the Lions Club?
Not at this time. The Detective Bureau continues to investigate.
Okay, anybody else have any comments, any questions on procedures and issues? Hearing none, let us move on. As far as my last comments, I would like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I hope for the new year that things will change to the better. We've had a very tough 2020. I'm sure everyone will remember it well, not in a positive light, but with the future of new medicines, things should change for the better. And lastly, Police Chief, we have your comments on the October and November sheet here, monthly department activity. And if possible, make sure that is posted so that Mr. Mickle and public will have an opportunity to see it.
Okay, I'll make sure it gets over to the right people at Town Hall to get it posted.
Thank you.
As far as the chief's report, our COVID situation over the past month at the police department has been a bit of a roller coaster ride. We did have 2 employees contract and test positive with the virus, which after contact tracing took out 25% of our department for 2 weeks. So we had a little bit of a rough stretch there. Since then, none of the other people who had gotten quarantined from that incident tested positive, so we were fortunate. We do currently have 1 other employee out who's tested positive due to a family exposure, but contact tracing did not conclude that anybody else was at risk here at the department. So we're almost back up to full staff. We have hired a lateral applicant, Officer Matthew Ciccarello from the Meriden Police Department, who's currently undertaking an abbreviated field training program. We expect Officer Ciccarello to be on full duty by the end of this month. It does bring our roster to our full roster of 40 sworn members. You may have seen the latest traffic safety public service announcement on television sponsored by the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association. The PSA is themed around the importance of home, especially in these uncertain times, and how important it is to drive safely so everyone on the road can get home safely. I am proud to announce that Watertown PD's own Detective Abby Rivera and Officer Willie Quarles are featured in the video. So if you do happen to see the video on TV, you may see them with a friendly wave from the side of the road. The camera shoot took place right on Hemingway Park Road in front of Town Hall. I am pleased to notify the commission that the Lions Club has donated $1,500 to the Watertown Police Department to augment our training program. The Watertown Police Department is very fortunate to serve such a supportive and generous community, and we extend our sincere appreciation to the Lions Club. I was honored to participate in the Oakville VFW's Pearl Harbor Memorial Ceremony on Monday. The ceremony was a fitting tribute to the service and sacrifice of our U.S. Armed Forces who were killed or injured during the infamous surprise attack 79 years ago. I'd like to announce 2 retirements from the police department. One is Pat Conti, our animal control officer, has announced her retirement after 31 dedicated and distinguished years of service. Pat's last day of work will be December 23rd, and we are currently in the process of hiring her replacement. And as you may know, Chief Cavalis has announced his retirement after an amazing 51 years of
Wait, keep that door, please. Sorry. Oops.
Sorry, Commissioner.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. So Chief Cavalis is retiring after 51 years of dedicated and distinguished service. The Chief's last day will be December 31st. It's unfortunate that we can't hold any type of gathering to honor the Chief's service. So we have put together a vehicle parade, which will take place on Wednesday, December 30th at 1 p.m. All commissioners are invited to participate. Participants are asked to muster in the high school parking lot at 12:45 p.m. Chief Cavalis will be standing curbside in front of the police department with an honor guard present, and we certainly hope to hold a real retirement party when conditions permit. That concludes my report. Be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from commissioners?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through you, this is David Genetti. Chief, thank you for your report. There's a lot of great information, a lot of positive information. I've been meaning to ask you, we've been receiving the department stats for many years in the same format. And, mainly quantitative information. And I was just wondering if you would consider a different format that perhaps gives us a summary, much of which the information you just gave us, perhaps to the extent that you're able to share a summary of the activities for the past month, and even like a year-over-year stat. Typically we only get the past 2 months, and you're only able to compare last month with the previous month. So if you can consider that, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, Commissioner, do you mind if we speak offline and can discuss what I understand is a very qualitative report. It's a bunch of numbers. So I'd be happy to discuss something that would be more informational.
Sure. Would love to do that. Thank you. I'm going to mute myself now.
Any other comments and any other questions? Again, just a reminder, I think that's great. Wednesday, December 30th, 12:45, a chance to recognize the long and tremendous service to the town of Watertown and to the people of Watertown by Chief Gavalis. So I hope we all can make that gathering over at the high school, and it's hopeful there will be a live celebration where I'm sure many people would like to attend. At this time, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved. That's David Genetti.
Do I have a
Second,
second?
Robert McCarthy.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, commissioners, and enjoy the holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays, everyone.